What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is Real Estate Insights. I'm your host, Andrew Glisson. Appreciate you guys tuning into the show today. Got some great guests lined up for you that we'll introduce to you as soon as we take a quick commercial break. I'm excited. The mortgage rate just hit a 52-week low. The Fed is talking about cutting the interest rate a quarter point sometimes, or some analysts have even said a half a point, which would be amazing. So some of the investment decisions that I've made not to buy real estate, those properties now look more attractive. So I'm excited as a real estate investor. I'm excited for those of you who are looking to buy homes and want to move somewhere. You guys are going to be able to borrow money and get into a new house for a lot less expensive than you could, a few short months ago. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come right back, we've got a serial entrepreneur named Hannah Hammond. Excited to make that introduction. We'll see you in just a minute.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Do you have diabetes? If you have insurance, you may qualify for a new continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends, spend more time in range, significantly lower your A1C, and share important data with loved ones and caregivers. Most importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Take charge of your health. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and have seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for a CGM today. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances cover continuous glucose monitors, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the CGM Health Hotline now.
Welcome back, everybody. David Aronson's back with us. No stranger to the show. He's been on a number of times. Love talking to him. He's one of my favorite guests. Dave's the CEO and founder of a company called Refuel Electric Vehicle Solutions. And look, everybody, we're going the way of the electric car. It's happening slowly. I'm not saying that we're going to be all electric in the next 10 or 15 years, but the market share is growing tremendously. And David, you guys are seeing that. I mean, every single day. You guys are growing, hand over fist. So tell us, where do you see the growth happening primarily right now in the electric vehicle space?
Well, we've had a lot of new models come out in the last couple of years, and and a lot of them are a lot more affordable. So we're starting to see more and more of them show up at multifamily properties because the renters can afford to buy the electric vehicle. It also saves them money, which allows them to pay a higher rent. So it's good for the apartment owner.
Yeah. So you guys are installing, David, these electric vehicle charging stations at multifamily complexes. How do you conduct, or does your team conduct, really, an ROI analysis on the financial impact that a multifamily owner could have if they installed these charging stations?
So that's a very good question, Andrew, and I'm going to look at it from both standpoints. You have a property owner who owns the apartments. They've invested millions of dollars to buy and operate this apartment property. And if they have a resident or a potential resident that wants to have an EV charging station because they've just bought an EV, then the return on that investment for the property owner is very significant, because if you assume that average rent of the apartment property is $1,500 a month, and you're capturing or retaining a tenant simply because you have the ability to refuel their car at night where they live, or during the day where they live, then that's $18,000 a year in revenue that you would not be getting if you didn't have that EV charging station. That EV charging station cost probably about $8,000 to put up. So, as the apartment owner, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth capturing or retaining just one tenant, to receive $18,000 and investing $8,000?
Yep. Do you see that
investment?
Do you see that a lot of, after the charging station gets installed, do a lot of these multifamily owners start using that as marketing tools? Do they put that in their marketing to attract new tenants?
Well, they should, and they do, and we remind them if they don't, because so many tenants today will do, before they go look at an apartment, will go to the internet and go to apartments.com or other websites to see which apartments are most appealing to them, and they now can sort those to properties that have EV charging stations. So
interesting.
We do see that. The other thing that happens when we put them up, in a lot of cases, especially where property owners and managers have told us that nobody's driving an EV at the property. Okay, it's amazing how many times we hear that, and we put up EV charging stations. All of a sudden, there are 2 or 3 residents using them. So they sometimes don't know who's parking there, I guess, or where they drive.
Do you have any sort of data that you gather? We've talked at length about how many data points you guys actually get when a car gets plugged in, but is there any sort of best practice on ROI on, where the charging station's installed at the facility, in the parking lot, how far away it is from the door? Are there any kind of geographical influences to return on investment?
Well, it's hard to say at this point. Okay. You have 2 different types of properties we install in. One are the existing properties, the ones that have already been built. And we have limited options on those properties as to where we are going to be able to put the charging station. And it's all based on the property's electrical infrastructure. If you're building a new property, then we have an opportunity to get in and show you how to do it to where it's going to be the most convenient for your residents. Keep in mind that new property that's under construction or planned today will have more residents driving electric vehicles in their parking lot than gas vehicles over the life cycle of that property. So you might as well put them in convenient spots versus the most inconvenient spots.
Yeah, right. Do you have repeat guests, or not guests, but clients that come back and say, we've got a couple, they're full all the time, we need another one?
Well, we monitor it. We're able to monitor the usage of each one of the stations, and when they get used to a certain level, we want to put in more because we want to grow our business on that apartment side. So yes, we follow that very, very closely. But unfortunately, in a lot of existing apartment properties, we're going to be limited in the number of charging stations that we can put up just because the property doesn't have enough spare electricity to host our charging station.
So if you've got a new complex, you can plan for that, but an older building, you're kind of stuck on the infrastructure that you have available to you. What's the most you've ever put in an apartment complex? The most charging stations?
Oh, we've probably put. Well, here's an important item, Andrew, and that is there are some states that now have building codes that require you to put up a certain amount of charging stations to get your certificate of occupancy.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, and unfortunately for those states, it's way more than the current demand dictates.
Yep.
And that's a problem. Okay, it's a problem for us. It's a waste of money for the developer. We can't go into a new property and put up the number of charging stations that they require because it's usually too much more than the current demand is for. So we'll do it with grants if those are available, but in most cases we cannot do it. The apartment owner has to pay and operate all that. But we've seen them put up 20, 30, 40. Wow,
that's a lot.
I think California has a requirement that 25% of the parking spaces need to have EV.
Get out of here.
EV charging. I mean, that's just a ridiculous number. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's what it is right now.
I remember when I was renting an apartment in Houston a few years ago, we had two, and they were right by the front door. And occasionally you would see a gas-powered sports car, sitting there in the charging station. But 25% is a pretty high number. What other states are they the usual suspects? The states that are requiring charging stations?
Yeah, pretty much. But all of them are going to require it sooner or later. But yes, they are the states that you would think. California leads the list. Of course, they have the most electric vehicles on the road. And I think they've hit a point where a quarter of the new car sales are now electric in California.
Yeah.
So, but they still are. They're in my opinion, their requirements are an overkill.
Yeah. Right
now.
Now
it's very important when you're building these properties that you have enough infrastructure put in, enough conduit run, and enough space in your panels to handle the future load. And that's what they ought to be focusing on, not necessarily how many stations are up today. But
you're right. Well, and you've got, kind of in more of a macro view, you've got a line of sight into the actual available power in the electric grid to power electric vehicles. And a lot of what I hear, and this is just, secondhand information, is that there's not enough electricity being produced and the lines aren't big enough to fuel. If 100% of the cars were electric, we don't have the grid for that. So are they making improvements to the grid? So ultimately, it can absorb what's ultimately going to happen, and there's going to be more electric vehicles on the road that we have to power?
Well, so yeah, I mean, it's a concern, but the reality of the situation is it's not a concern today.
Right.
Okay. We have plenty. And, this is the United States. We'll figure this issue out. This is probably a 30 or 40 year transition. Okay.
Gotcha.
So what we're talking about impacting on the grid is a long-term problem. And by the way, it's not just electric vehicles. There's a lot of other things that are going electric, not just the car. But I mean, I think that's the goal is to have clean electricity to fuel our society.
Yeah. And it's happening quickly. And I guess you've probably seen the efficiency of the battery technology improve since you've been in the business doing this. I guess does it take less power to, quicker to fuel the newer cars rather than the older cars? So it's a little bit easier on the grid.
Absolutely. The first cars came out and they only could onboard about 7 kilowatts of electricity. an hour. So if you had a car with a 50 kilowatt battery, then that took 7 hours theoretically to fill it up. Now we're seeing cars that can onboard 9 kilowatts, 11 kilowatts. The Teslas are even able to do up to 19 or over 19 kilowatts. So,
wow.
Yeah, there's going to continue to be an improvement on how fast the cars can charge, and also the size of the batteries. I mean, you know, when this started, you know, in earnest about 10 years ago, the batteries were small. Now we're seeing batteries 125 kilowatts. So it's really important that you get the right charger, you get the right setup, so you can refuel those vehicles as quick as possible.
Right. All right. Last question, David. What's the most popular electric car that you see out of the data?
Well, I mean, Tesla still has a dominating share, but
Gotcha.
the Ioniq 5 is a really cool car, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to test drive it, or I didn't test drive it. I rented one, and we're seeing a lot of those show up in the parking lots. But
cool.
You know, we're just beginning.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good stuff, David. Appreciate the time. We're going to hit a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thanks again
Bye-bye.
for showing up.
Hi, I'm Vicki White Hamilton, and welcome to Ignite. Are you ready to fuel the fire within you and ignite your passion for leadership and business growth? This show isn't just about tips and tricks. It's about transforming your ambition into unstoppable momentum. We're here to spark the strategies that set your soul on fire and help you blaze a trail of success. Whether you're building a startup or leading a team, Ignite will empower you to turn your vision into a powerful reality. Fuel your fire, ignite your passion, and watch your success take flight. Tune in to Ignite right here on Now Media TV.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Todos quieren boletos de avión baratos, pero ¿dónde los encuentras? Llamando a Vuelos y Más. Sus precios vienen directamente de las aerolíneas y son tan bajos que no los vas a encontrar publicados en ningún otro sitio. Nos especializamos en garantizarles los boletos de avión más baratos, con descuentos en habitaciones de hotel, alquiler de carros y grandes ofertas en paquetes para cualquier lugar del mundo. No importa su destino, podemos ayudarle.
Gracias, Vuelos y Más.
¿Qué espera? ¡Llame ya!
Welcome back, everybody. We've got a new guest on the show, Allie Dean with Rooftop Cinema. Allie, welcome to the show. Right before we went online, we were talking about where Allie sits. So you sit in Washington, D.C., but you guys are headquartered where? Where's Rooftop based out of?
Yeah, so we were founded in London over a decade ago. So we have some offices there as well as some theaters. And then domestically here, we're a fully remote company, but we do have a hub in Los Angeles.
Very cool. And so, Allie, rooftop cinema, I've actually been to one of these before, and that's how I got the idea to kind of give you guys a call and get you on the show. I thought it was a really cool idea. Had a lot of fun. It was like one of the best cinema experiences that I had. It's way better for everybody watching this. If you haven't had the opportunity to do this, it's basically a TV screen, a very giant TV screen on top of a parking garage. You can buy, all of the drinks and snacks that you want to. There's chairs set up, and it's actually a really fun time. So, how did rooftop cinema, Allie, come about originally? What was the idea behind it?
Yeah, so one of our founders, Jerry Cottle Jr., London-based guy working in PR, had this idea where he wanted to screen some of his favorite films on a rooftop in the London summer and have some drinks with friends. So hosted an event over a decade ago, massive turnout, ended up being one of the hottest tickets in town. People were queuing and couldn't find a ticket to get in. It was such a great time. Yep. So from there, what started as, just wanting to gather people together, have a good time, sort of birthed this larger business now that we are scaling all over the US.
That's awesome. How many locations do you guys have now?
We have 9. We have 2 currently in London and then 7 here domestically. They're in Florida, Miami, Houston, Fort Worth, Chicago, LA, San Diego, and New York.
Very cool. And Allie, just out of curiosity, before I start barraging you with questions about, the real estate side of this, how did you find opportunity? Is your background in real estate?
Yeah, my background's in real estate. So I started over 15 years ago working at a boutique firm and then some, publicly traded, a little bit more bureaucratic-esque entities to really refine my background and get the playbook down well, which allowed me to go into brand work. So I've been specializing in sort of the startup and brand experience space now for probably over 6 years. So working on some of these cusp scale ups. So my background's always in real estate, not necessarily film, but it's been a great learning experience for me.
That's cool. So when you guys are looking at, growing, you've gone from 0 to 9 locations, basically. How do you diligence the location that you want to be at, or site selection? What goes into that?
Yeah. So we look at all the standard demo type stuff everybody would, like population and, type of people living in a certain area and what do they drive and how much do they make, that kind of thing. But we also I take an agnostic approach to the asset type. So we can build a rooftop cinema club literally on any raised asset, parking garage, office building, residential, you name it. If it's elevated open air space with a beautiful view, I want to look at that. So able to look and, liaise with any kind of developer, landlord partner, anybody that has something interesting with a beautiful view.
Do you typically, when you pick up the phone and call the developer or the asset owner, the building owner, is it a pretty warm reception on, telling them who you are, what you do, what your thought is? Do they know about this concept?
So it depends. Some people who are in the space of experience or leisure, they get it immediately. Sometimes people are like, you would amenitize this. So what I say is we'll come in and beautify, amenitize, and then monetize underutilized space. I used to be on landlord side as well. So it would have been a dream for me if somebody had come to me proactively to say, hey, I can make you more money in this area next to these clunky old RTUs and noisy fans. I would have said, that sounds good to me. So there is usually a little bit of a learning curve with that, depending on who we're talking to. But I'm always happy to chat about what it is we can do and how we can make everybody money.
Right. How much space do you need for something like this?
So typically we look for around about 10,000 square feet. We could go up to as big as 20,000, just depending on the market. We also have some stuff that's a little bit smaller than that in the dense urban areas like Manhattan. But what I'm hunting for is usually in that neighborhood of 10-ish.
Mm-hmm. And then do you need, for 10,000 square feet of space, how many parking spaces do you need in the building or close by for that number of people?
Yeah. So again, depends on the market. Some of these high drive areas, we do like to partner with the landlord just to make sure we could do some sort of validation. We also own our ticketing platform too, which is pretty unique. Not a lot of places do that. So we're working on some integrations through that too, through validation as another opportunity for us to partner. But we just like to have a couple of spaces in close proximity for like the safe exit of some of our staff, and then sort of up to our guests. We do partnerships too with like Uber, rideshare, some of the in cycling economies too, making sure we have a bike rack and things like that. but it's very flexible depending on market.
Yeah, I asked that question a little bit, I guess, naively, because in Houston, everybody drives everywhere, but you're in a lot of markets where it's public transportation and probably pretty walkable and things like that. So
yeah, in Houston, we're fortunate to be on top of a parking garage, actually. So it's an open free garage there too. So our customers can, pull in with ease.
Yeah. And it's actually, I mean, the site that you guys selected in Houston is amazing because it's right in an area called the Galleria, for everybody that hasn't been in Houston, but it's a business district. So there's high rises and multi-story apartment buildings everywhere that look great. And so you're watching the movie, there's high rise, buildings in the background. It's actually a great view for a flat city that's nothing but concrete. You've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So how, what are the growth plans from here? With 9, are you in talks with, opening up more around the country sometime soon?
Yeah, definitely. We have a very robust pipeline right now that we're examining. We'll triple in the next 5 years.
Wow.
So very excited about that growth. Obviously some of it is in those strategic big movie markets, but we want to be like in every city, across the country to give access to people for this level of escapism and enjoyment. Part of our experience is all through headphones. So we're not doing any amplified noise, which helps us be a better neighbor in some of these maybe more residential areas or, being a co-tenant, maybe with offices and things like that who have different, operating hours, that kind of thing. So with the ability to be that flexible, it really opens us up. So our pipeline is, in the triple digits right now, and we're just taking a really strategic approach and thoughtful approach to, where we go next. But you can count on us being tripled in 5 years.
That's cool. Is it basically major metros still? Or are you looking at secondary markets at this point?
Yeah, all of the above. Like I said, I'm asset type agnostic. I'm also market agnostic, as long as, it hits some of those, minimum demo kind of stats that we have. Also, partnerships make all the world of a difference. We have repeat partnerships at some of our locations with common landlords and ownership. We love that because we take a view of everything we do on a relationship basis. So we're here for the long haul. We like to sign leases base year about 10 years. We do have flexibility in that too, but we think of it as really truly like a partner, not just like a rent paying tenant or something like that.
That's cool. And is it kind of a seasonal experience? I guess you can't operate in the dead 100-degree heat in the summertime and it's snowing outside. So how do you manage around the weather?
Yeah, so we're rolling out some climate mitigation measures in the coming year. So that will look like, some misters and fans in the super hot climates, and then some heating elements, warming elements in the wintertime.
Cool.
Of course, we're an open outdoor experience. So if there's a blizzard, obviously we'll be closing, but we keep a close eye on the weather on a day-by-day, hour-by-hour basis.
Right.
And so we also have something called fireside cinema. So in the cooler weather months, we pivot to more intimate kind of arrangement, reduce the amount of seats in the theater, and install chimeneas. So it creates kind of that really cozy, wintertime vibe, which allows us to extend the season as well.
That's really cool. Yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do in the wintertime. Grab some hot chocolate, sit by the fire and watch a movie.
Exactly.
In terms of, financing your growth, do you have capital partners that you're growing with? Do you guys utilize leverage? Are you looking for investors? How does that work?
Yeah. So we've been really fortunate to be able to kind of be self-sufficient thus far. We had the experience of taking on a very small amount of investor money right before COVID, which helped tide us through. We opened some, drive-in cinemas, just kind of prove the resiliency of the brand. There's a huge demand for what it is that we do. We're really excited to get back to our core business now, which is kind of this rocket ship sort of growth here across the US. So to that end, we are currently in a fundraise process right now, looking to close about $10 million to fund the next round of growth. We have expectation that we'll continue to self-fund as we go and put more dots on the map.
Yep. Are you raising that $10 million from institutional capital or accredited investors or anybody? Is it crowdsourced? What is that?
Yeah. So we're examining all facets of that. So I would open it up, if there's anybody out there maybe who's listening or watching this who wants to talk to us a little bit more about it, we welcome that. We are working with, some PE. It'll be a combination of debt and equity that we raise to achieve that.
Gotcha. Well, listen, Allie, really appreciate you joining me on the show. It's been really fun to talk to you. And for everybody that's watching, Rooftop Cinema. What's the website that they can go to? Just Google that, it'll
rooftopcinema.com.
pop up.
Find us on Instagram too. You know, for a cinematic experience, we have about 400 followers on Instagram for across our 9 sites. You know, you compare that to like the AMCs who have, you know, almost 600 and only 600,000. So pretty good following there. You could reach us there with our showings, and kind of people can check out, you know, the offering and the vibe, all of that stuff.
Yeah. And we're a Houston-based show. So if you guys are watching the show in Houston, you haven't been to that experience and done that, you should go and check it out. It's a lot of fun. So Allie, thanks for joining me on the show. Really appreciate it. And we'll run to a commercial break and be right back.
Yes. Thank you so much.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
Call 877-930-3491. That's 877-930-3491. Again, 877-930-3491.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're kicking off the show with a new guest, Hannah Hammond, in Paradise Valley, Arizona. So, Hannah, I'm jealous on kind of where you're at, both in the scenery that's out there and also the weather. But look, welcome to the show. And for those of you who don't know Hannah, Hannah is all over social media, serial entrepreneur. Hannah, you do a lot of things now. So you're in the real estate business. You are an agent, broker. You do some. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but you've got construction businesses. You have a hard money lending company. Tell us about the various businesses in your world.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here chatting with you and Yeah, real estate
Yeah.
is my thing, inside and out, every vein of that business. So yeah, I've been in real estate since I was 18. I got my license right away after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and deciding I
Cool.
wanted to be an entrepreneur and investor. So that's how it got started. And then I just started selling real estate, buying my own real estate, brokering real estate, flipping. And then I opened my brokerage in 2022 and ultimately started lending in 2022 as well, which now I have a national debt fund and we do hard money loans, private money loans for real estate investors across the country.
Very cool. So you read Rich Dad Poor Dad at 18. In 18, you got your real estate license. Did you have anybody in your family that was in the real estate business?
No, I did not. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely didn't. My family was uneducated, through the public school system and through financial literacy. We just didn't have much education or money or entrepreneurs or anything like that. My dad still works at the pawn shop that he worked at when I was born. So
Cool.
it was really just me seeking something more and
Yeah.
seeking financial freedom and just wanted to create a life worth living. And then now it's a lot of giving back and helping others do the same.
That's cool. So Hannah, like along the way, uh, were you able to find, mentors that helped you out along the way? I mean, you're clearly self-taught, read books and stuff like that, but how did you find people to kind of tell you, mistakes to avoid and things like that?
So in the beginning, I really didn't have anything other than books and YouTube, which you can learn a lot on there, right? But
Yep.
a lot of mistakes I just had to make and learn from on my own because I didn't have the money to hire a coach or go to conferences or seminars or anything like that in the beginning. But once I started to get some success and to get some money, I quickly started to invest in my own personal education outside of college and things like that. And
Yep.
that is what really helped elevate my skill set and just broaden the capacity to which I think, right? Like just think bigger, have better networks, know what's out there, and then be able to just learn how to optimize teams more efficiently and run my business more efficiently so I can scale better. So yeah,
Right.
investing in ongoing education like seminars and now mentorship and coaching has been a key to success for sure.
Smart. So walk me through, going from being a real estate agent or a realtor to opening your own brokerage. Was there something that happened where you said, I got to do this myself? I've got to be the boss here?
Yeah, yeah. So I had built up like a residential business for my just my own personal sales, and then I had also built up a commercial business. And when I first got my real estate license at 18, my very first sale was commercial, and I
Cool.
wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
It was a client from an open house, but we ended up doing a commercial deal, and then I did a luxury deal. So I really loved being in the commercial space and the luxury space, and I didn't want to
Yep.
be siloed into one or the other. And in order to be able to do that, I ultimately had to open up my own brand because
Makes sense.
brokerages don't really let you do that. So that's why the firm was ultimately born. And we have a commercial and a residential division there.
Gotcha. So you said firm, but that's not, she's not just calling it the firm. The name of your brokerage is the firm, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's called the firm.
Yeah. Very cool. And are you guys primarily in the Phoenix area right now? Do you have satellite offices around Arizona?
Yeah, so we're all over the Valley of Arizona. We're very much a virtual model, so we don't require agents to go into a single location each day.
Cool.
Our headquarters is in Scottsdale, right in Old Town, but yeah, we service clients everywhere. And if we have clients who are doing investment sales out of state, we'll help pair them up with a broker out of state to help represent them on those deals as well. And then on the lending front, we can help clients nationally throughout the whole country.
Very cool. So at the firm, what percentage of business is, 25% luxury, 25% investment sales, commercial? How does that look?
So most of our agents, I would say 70% of our agents are residential and then the rest are commercial. But I would say more of the sales are commercial than residential just because they're higher ticket sales generally. And it's just a bigger portion of
Yep.
what we do.
Cool. So in the lending platform, then National Lender, how did you start that? What was the impetus behind wanting to create your own hard money lending fund?
So I had been working with private lenders to do my own fix and flips. When I first bought my when I bought my first property at 18, I had no credit. I had very little liquidity and definitely couldn't qualify for a bank loan. And so I got familiar with the lending space, the private lending space pretty early on. And I had utilized these lenders and, but was always on the investment side. And then what happened was I had been saving a bunch of money to buy a multifamily projects that I wanted to renovate, value add, raise rents, and do all that. But this was when rates were super high, or I'm sorry, this was when rates were super low and cap rates were super low and prices were super high. And so I was like, I can't make anything pencil right now. And with an engineering background, I just logically couldn't make myself overpay for something and buy something that just didn't make sense on my analysis. And so that's when I started lending money and I realized there's a big demand for money and capital markets are really tight. And I think going into the future, the private capital space is going to continue to excel and expand because it's just the banking system's very difficult and it's very hard to get loans, especially quickly and especially at the speed of opportunity when you find a good deal and you need to close on that deal super quick.
Absolutely. So how do you establish, floor rates? How have you built, kind of your analysis behind the deal, the person? What have you walk me through some of the steps you go through? How do you establish rates, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we kind of just keep up with what's market and rates have, gone up and down over the course of time, like right after 2008, which I wasn't in the business then. I was very young in 2008, but I know I have friends who have large debt funds and they said after 2008, rates were like 18% for private money. Then when rates were really low, they were 8 or 9%. Right now they're hovering about 12% and a couple points. So they all kind of, they vary, land will be more, or if it's a really risky deal, it'll be more, or if there's no personal guarantee. But on average, you can expect about 12% interest only, plus a couple points up front, and usually no prepayment penalties or short prepays.
Right. And then are there any non-negotiables on people you don't work with, credit profiles?
So we are more asset based, so we don't care so much about the credit, as long as they are, have a logical story. If their credit is suffering, like why their credit's suffering, but mostly just clean background check. If there's any fraud and this person's stealing money from people, it's not someone we're going to ever work with. But beyond that, it's mostly based on the asset, and we underwrite the asset and have a good LTV. We like to see what experience the borrower has, and that could affect rate as well. We don't necessarily require experience, but it's just something that goes into play. And ultimately just what their takeout plan is as well for the takeout loan, which sometimes will help pair them up with a lender for that as well.
Cool. So you guys are more of like a fix and flip, just kind of a bridge lender to get you from point A to point B, and then either sell or refi into long-term debt.
Exactly. Yep. Fix and flip for residential or commercial. Yep. Just a bridge loan, 6 to 18 months to value add and stabilize the asset.
Yep. And then what do you, for the investors watching the show, what are you lending from a loan to value standpoint on the acquisition and renovation?
65 to 75% is generally what we'll lend on for the acquisition. We personally, with our fund, aren't doing construction loans right now, but we will broker those out to some of our partners who specialize in ground up construction.
Okay. So it's purely acquisition funding.
Right.
Yeah. So is it a closed fund or an open fund? How do people invest with you?
Yeah, it's an open fund. We just launched it. So it's evergreen. Minimum investment is only $40,000. So for those investors who just want to get their feet wet, the really nice thing about a debt fund versus an equity fund, my partner has an large, multi-$100 million equity fund as well, where they develop commercial real estate and do value add plays there. But those are like 5 to 7 year funds. So your money's tied up for a while. And the nice thing of the debt fund is these loans are all paying off in 6 months, 12 months. And so the money's very liquid, especially as you start to have a good book of business. So it's just a nice option for investors who want, on average 10% return a year on their money, and they can grab their money out whenever they want.
Nice. And is there accreditation status on investing with you?
Yep. They have to be accredited investors and just have a U.S. entity. But they don't necessarily have to be a U.S. citizen. So there's some flexibility there.
Very cool. Well, you guys should look up Hannah. Hannah, what's your Instagram handle so people can follow you in touch?
It's At Hannah B as in Beth Hammond. So HannahBhammond. And you can reach out to me on there, DM me on there. And I still manage my own DM. So it's the best way to get a hold of me. And I can
Nice.
get you my direct cell.
That's awesome. Well, Hannah, really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for taking the time. And we'll look forward to, having you back sometime soon.
Awesome. Thanks so
telling
much for
us your
having
story.
me.
Yeah. We'll
Of
head to a
course.
commercial break, everybody. We'll be right back.
Do you have diabetes? If you have insurance, you may qualify for a new continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends, spend more time in range, significantly lower your A1C, and share important data with loved ones and caregivers. Most importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Take charge of your health. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and have seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for a CGM today. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances cover continuous glucose monitors, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the CGM hotline now.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
All right, welcome back, everybody. That was our last commercial break. I'm the last guest. So sometimes the studio says, hey, Andrew, you're up for 10 minutes, and I'm going to talk to you guys about something that's on my mind. Listen, I'm a real estate investor, and I invest in single-family rental properties. And my company, it's a company called Neighborhood Revival. We do everything from acquisitions, renovations, to property management, to, sometimes we dispo. I absolutely hate selling our rental properties. And if I can help it, I like to keep everything. It's sometimes it's a curse, not a blessing. But regardless, I want to talk to you guys about something today that I think that you should really consider if you are investing in real estate or thinking about investing in real estate, specifically on the residential side. There is a lot of fraud that's out in the space right now. And it's actually turned a lot of people off that want to invest in real estate. I talk to people all the time. On social media, investors call me and, they want to get into the business. They're thinking about it. They own big portfolios. They're thinking about selling the whole thing because it's gotten too hard. And it's gotten very complicated. And I try to talk them out of it because I think real estate is something that, everybody should be able to invest in. You can invest in, you can save up money, you can get into the business. And it's a great way to supplement your income or supplement your retirement. Because think about it. If you get a house with a 30-year mortgage or a 20-year mortgage, and you're paying that, you're going to pay that as long as you're not borrowing interest only money, you're going to pay that off in 20 or 30 years. And it's an asset that produces cash, minus expenses that can supplement retirement, can supplement your W-2. So I'm a huge proponent. I think people should invest in real estate, but it does come with its risks. And one of the risks that we are seeing today, more so than we've seen, any other time in the business, is the actual risk of putting the wrong resident in that house. And there are people out there that are lying to you, that will lie to you, and that, are faking documentation and you've got to look into this more so than you ever have, because technology has advanced to the point where you can fake a lot of stuff. And I mentioned this on a previous show, in that in the application process, and this turns a lot of people off on investing in real estate, by the way, because people are like, I can't invest because I'm going to get taken advantage of, blah, blah, blah. And that's true, but there's ways to avoid it. So in the application process, there are ways that people can apply with your company. And if you own real estate and manage your own real estate, or you are a property manager, this is for everybody from 1 to 10,000 units. It doesn't matter. People can apply with you and use fake phone numbers, fake references, fake email addresses, to verify employment. That they can make Google profiles, google.com, search the company, and there's a company there with a website, with an email address, with a phone number, and fake people are answering the phone, and they're lying about everything on the application. So you have to spend a lot of time vetting residents before you let somebody move in. You got to go through everything with a fine tooth comb. And we've been doing this for a long time. And we've had to modify the way that we are analyzing applicants that are wanting to move into our properties, because the theft and the fraud has gotten so pervasive that we've got to look under the hood and be very diligent in the application process. So I want to talk to you about a quick way that you can analyze prospective residents and applicants. And then I want to talk to you about some ways to de-risk the process after you've vetted and during kind of the vetting process. So what you guys really should consider doing is, good property management platforms will give you the ability to run artificial intelligence analysis on all the documents that come into and through the application process. So in the application process, you guys are going to get bank statements, you're going to get check stubs. You're asking for a lot of things to validate, who this person is, that they're actually making the money that they say they are, they're working for who the company is they say they're working for. And you guys need to be running those documents through some sort of an artificial intelligence platform that will show you inconsistencies in the data. And that's what you're looking for. One of the easiest ways to find the fraudsters in this process is looking for inconsistencies. Is the information that they gave you on the check stub, does it match what the background check and the credit report is saying the people that they work for? We ask for bank statements. Do the transactions in the bank statements match when their employer is paying them? The work number report is a great report you guys can go and buy, which will actually show you beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a payroll provider paying this person, and they are registered and actually active in employment with the company they say they are working for. And it's another check along the way. We have actually, and I get no commission for telling you guys about the work number report, but it's one of the only reports that we found that will actually show you active employment and verify and validate that information is correct based on what comes through credit reports and what residents or applicants tell you. So we've had multiple instances where people do have jobs, but the job that they have is not the job they told us they had. And the income threshold, they don't achieve at the job they have, but the job they told us they have, they did achieve the income threshold. So you've really got to dig into the data to try to identify, first of all, is this person, a real person? Are they telling us the right information? Do they work where they say they're going to work? References, you guys really need to be calling all the references. I mean, we go through the checklist. We're emailing for validation. We're calling all the phone numbers. We're looking for inconsistencies in the data. We're looking for ways to find out if the information is not real. And you guys should be doing the same thing. Your application process should take you a lot of time. You should not be approving people based on one thing or two things. You've got to take in the totality of the data. You've got to hear back from everybody, residential history, employers, references, emergency contacts. We've got to make contact with everybody before we allow somebody to move into our house, because there's so much fraud out there in the space right now. So those are kind of a couple little things that you guys should do in the process that can help you de-risk potential applicants. So you've got somebody who can afford to live at your property and will pay. And then the other way to de-risk it is that there are institutional companies that are out there that will guarantee, basically act as a guaranteed co-signer for certain applicants. And then there's also institutional capital out there that will guarantee your security deposits, so you don't have to take cash security deposits. So let me talk about the guaranteed co-signer real quick. there are companies that are out there that if somebody doesn't quite meet the threshold to move into your property, there is a guaranteed cosigner that'll sign on with that person. So they don't have to go find a cosigner. And there's an application process with this company that potential applicant will go through, and that company will sign on to the lease. And so if this person moves into your property and gets approved by the guaranteed cosigner, and moves into your property, and things happen and you end up having to evict that person and you lose rent and things like that, there's money there that will supplement your costs and your expenses. It's a real deal. It's a guaranteed cosigner. So that will de-risk your application process in allowing people to move into your homes. It'll give you the ability to allow, residents that might not otherwise qualify. It'll give them the opportunity to move in because they have a cosigner that's signing on with them. It's a great platform. We use it a lot. On the backside, the security deposit, you guys know as well as I do, if you're renting a house for $1,000 and somebody moves out and they've left it a mess, $1,000 does not go as far as it used to go 4 years ago. And so there are companies out there that will basically allow the resident to pay a fee, and it's anywhere from $15 to $25, and it's a security deposit waiver. So basically it's an insurance policy or a bond that steps in and provides you as the owner or the property management company up to 2 to 3 times 1 month's rent to repair those damages, to pay for lost rents. If somebody moves out, a month early and they don't give you the rent, or if somebody leaves you with $2,000 worth of damages on a $1,000 a month house, then you've got more money than what the security deposit would provide. You've got more money there to supplement those repairs or any rent or utilities that when that resident exits and they don't pay you that, there's money there to pay for that. And so what it does is it gives you as the owner of the property management company more money to go and get than the security deposit, but it also makes your properties more attractive because the resident doesn't have to bring $1,000 in cash and put it on file with you. They only have to pay $15 or $25 a month, and they can move into your property, which is a lot easier and more efficient than dropping $1,000 in escrow. It's also less for you guys to keep up with in an escrow account because it's a security deposit waiver fee. It's an insurance policy, and those products are very easy to make claims on. So there's ways to de-risk the application process. There's ways to de-risk an applicant that almost qualifies in the guaranteed the guaranteed cosigner, and there's ways to de-risk when somebody moves out what you're left responsible for and the amount of money that you have to pay to get that unit turned and back on the market. So don't just look at it as, somebody told me if I invest in real estate, it's going to be a disaster. I'm never going to make any money. That's not entirely true. There's ways to de-risk these investment property decisions to where you can get into the business and not be left, stranded. If they have the wrong tenant move in, they move out, they've got all these damages. There's ways to de-risk all that. So look, if you want more information on that, reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Andrew.Glisson. I'm in the DMs every day. I'm responding to people constantly. And so I'm happy to tell you guys about some of the tools and the tricks that we use in order to de-risk our investments. And I'm happy to pass those along to you. So with that being said, listen, this is the end of our show today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Real Estate Insights. I'm your host, Andrew Glisson. We're here every Thursday at 5 o'clock. We're on demand. We're over the air in multiple markets. So signing off from Houston. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks again.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the